After a lot of attempts to get it running right on the dyno, this home-built dyno, I've finally taken advice from, or listened to the advice from especially Wobbly over at Kiwi Biker, and I decided to tear it down and rebalance the crankshaft from it has a 38% balance factor, which means that the counterweight is balancing 38% of the yeah, whatever, the mass, the piston and all that stuff. And I'm gonna bring it up to 60%. That's the advice I've gotten. And I've also I checked out a small program, computer program for visualizing various balance factors, and I noticed that 60% was what gave the least, or it was what gave less force than all the other balance factors. So it was the most balanced factor, if you like. So excuse my English, I'm a Norwegian, and I'm not very good at this kind of videos anyway, even if it was in Norwegian, but I'm gonna do it in English because I feel the audience would appreciate that more than Norwegian. So for those of you that haven't seen it, this is my bike. It's a Peugeot SPX. I think that's an European model, and most of the bikes over in the United States are various variations of the 103. This is also a 103, but it's an SPX. And as you can see, my engine is homemade, and I've made this parallelogram mount, so the engine moves in a more linear fashion compared to the swinging motion of the stock engine mount. Yep, it's a IAME, or whatever you want to call it, cylinder for racing pocket bikes. Ported a little bit, mostly it's the I haven't touched the transfers. I've just raised the exhaust a tiny bit and decked it and just modified it to fit my crank, or my stroke, because the stroke is 39.1 millimeters, and what this cylinder comes off uses 39.4. So I just adjusted it to account for that. The exhaust system is homemade and looks that way too. And here you see I've safety wired the exhaust studs because they were falling out, and that's because of vibration, and that's the reason I'm tearing it down now, because the balance factor was wrong and it was shaking the whole engine. Yeah, let's get to it. The way this bike is now is actually maybe the third iteration of, or version. It's more like a platform for trying different stuff, or maybe a platform for me to use when learning to tune 2-strokes or build 2-strokes or whatever, and also just for having something to do I just noticed now that my launch lever has vibrated loose too, and one of the one has fell out and the other one has broken of the engine mount studs in the rear. So it is due to fix this vibration issue. It's been causing a lot of problems with things falling off and bits breaking, and the carburation never got sorted. It just was overflowing all the time. For removing the variator, I'm using an old trick, just shoving some rope in there and bringing the piston up to top dead center, and then just unscrewing. I think I'll undo the belt to relieve the tension before I unscrew it. Like that. I do this before I take the engine out of the mount or out of the frame, because it's just simpler to I don't have to hold it. It stays in place in the engine mount. It's tight because I use Loctite for obvious reasons. I also Loctited the bushing to the crank because I was afraid there's no positive lock here. It's just torque. So whatever torque this nut puts on that bushing, and the Loctite, of course, is what I want to put on there. Whoops, that's the carb. Put that somewhere where it doesn't fall. There. Just have to, and you can see I welded the bushing to the pressure plate. Originally there was some 3 dogs that engaged the bushing to this plate, but they got teared off, so had to weld it. That design was there to be able to remove that plate and change weights or rollers without unscrewing the nut. I'm removing the sprockets so I can remove the rear pulley, the clutch pulley. Little plane there. Probably need to change out those bearings. Like that. Okay, so here you can get a closer look on my engine mount. Maybe even here. So it's just these 2 levers and it moves like this. So now I have to undo this bolt and hold it, and then let the spring fall back to rest and remove it, and then I can unscrew the whole thing with the exhaust and all, but I'll probably take that off first. Let's see. I have to remember to unplug the GT sensor, or else this will just hang by it when it's loose. It's no good. Last one. There's there it is. Yeah, almost forgot.